So today we're gonna unbox the IcyTreat ice cream and gelato maker and compare it directly to the Ninja Creami Standard and the Ninja Creami Deluxe. So yeah, this was sent to me for review. I did not pay for this, but it does not mean I'm going to give you a one-sided review. If you watched my last review of a Viva ice shaving machine, you will understand that I don't mince my words. So let's get this unboxed to get everything out and see where we start. Okay, there we go. So this is, what is this? Every scoop is made with love. Every moment is worth celebrating. User manual. The model number is IC1010. We see ice, we see possibilities. Quick start guide. I'm going to see how intuitive this is. And a recipe book. Yeah, we don't need that. Let's put those there. So, first off, we have a free ice cream scoop. It is empty. Same design as a 0 scoop, but totally empty, size 20, so I've seen worse. A random cloth. Some nice silicone lids. Now, number one is these containers that you fill have handles, so storage compared to the Ninja Creami is gonna be different, but they have these nice silicone lids which will block out a lot more air and as such create less ice crystals and expansion during freezing process. So that's nice. Lots of stickers. Let's take some stickers off. Let's do a sticker reveal on camera. And it's got sticky pads on the bottom. I quite like that. Nice. So the little label that I peeled off did have instructions on it. Maybe I should have read those. You know what I'm like. Let's see how intuitive this is. Power switch down the side. Took a while, not gonna lie. And lift. Pretty tight silicone seal around there. There's this press to release. Alright, so there's a simple lock button down there. Push that in and it locks, nice. And then press the unlock button, which is here, and pull down the shaft paddle for the first cleaning. So press this button, which is right here, and we're gonna drop. That's quite nice. That's quite nice. Okay, so this, let's give you a close-up of what we're looking at here. We can get rid of this now. So this is our blade, which is really tough. And then on this shaft we have our lid, which is permanently attached, silicone seal, and then our stop here. This is our stop for mounting this into the machine. It's a similar kind of style to the Ninja Creami regarding the shaft, but we can't take that out or off. So you have to clean this entire thing in one go. Which is not the end of the world, because let's look inside. There's no gaps, there's no mechanisms that we would struggle to clean like on the Ninja Creami. Let's get some things cleaned and get the Ninja Creamis out for a comparison. Right, the three machines. They're all pretty much of a muchness size-wise. This one you can store with the top section down. So it will take up less space on the countertop, in your cupboard. So that's definitely a positive. Weight-wise, although it feels lighter, it's not. So, you know, they're pretty close in weight. So, containers. So the IcyTreat, you load up this. That is it. There's no two-part system here apart from the lid. So that's a positive because you've only got one component. Negative, it's got the handle attached to it. So storing these in your freezer, it's going to take up much more space. I'm sure you can kind of figure it out, but plastic-wise, It's all basically the same. I don't know what type of plastic is what. But with the Ninja Creamis, you obviously have this, your loading container with which you put your thing in and then your lid on. So you're saving a component, I guess, on the IcyTreat. No, come on, don't be an idiot. So there's that, and this is obviously identical to the Deluxe. Let's look at the blade technology. Now we know Ninja Creamis, let's move this out of the way. We know Ninja Creamis historically have a real problem with their blades. They break, they snap, they shear the teeth, the magnets go. That's one of the biggest problems with the Ninja Creami ecosystem is the blades just don't last, or the mechanisms don't last. Ninja didn't do anything to resolve that. All they did was bring out another machine. That one now appears to be having its own problems. So they obviously haven't listened and they haven't kind of rectified that issue. But the Ninja Creami Standard has held up much better for me anyway. But obviously this Deluxe was a Facebook Marketplace repair. That repair is holding up incredibly well. The blade is doing fine. The magnet is still sat in there great. You know, so it's relatively easy to repair. Now this one has its own potential problem. Let's dry this off. This entire blade assembly is all in one. So if something happens to this blade, then you have to buy this entire thing. Is that going to happen? I have no idea. Only time will tell. It does actually feel really robust though. It's really kind of solid, and actually if you look, let me get it on the camera here, because there's something different here which could actually, as long as they supply the spares, could be really good. So what we have here is we have a C-clip here, and then we have another one here. So if you take these off, then that will pop off, and that whole thing here will come out the bottom. So actually, as long as they supply the spares, this really isn't an issue. You wouldn't be buying this whole thing, because you'd just be removing these C-clips with, you know, a $5 tool from Amazon, and that shaft will come out with your blade on. And you can replace that, slide that back in, put your C-clips back on, and you're good to go. So that's really good. That's really good. It means you don't have to buy this entire assembly. But I don't know what the cost of the spares are. I haven't actually seen any online for this. So if you've seen the spares for this, let me know. Now, we know how to use these. The people that are interested in these machines, this is the one you're going to know. The Ninja Creami or the Deluxe. This is what you're going to go. You're going to know how to use this. This has exactly the same functions as this. Pretty much exactly the same. There's no details yet as to spin speeds of this one. It's really new, and it's got some jiggle. Does that mean it's going to jiggle around as we load it up and spin it? Who knows? Push the connector button to the unlock to, yeah, fine. But build quality, they're all made of the same stuff. They're all made of plastic. You can't really compare one to the other because they're all made of the same things. This apparently has so this machine has a brushless DC motor for twice the efficiency, 2.5 times the lifespan, and 3 times the run time compared to regular motors. What does this have? Full metal interior frame. This interior frame is made of plastic, I actually haven't been in this one. So the Ninja Creami has a plastic internal frame with metal rods inside to create a structure. So you can kind of still think that, you can kind of still assume that this has a metal frame. It's just surrounded by another plastic frame. So that's probably just a wording thing. It operates in exactly the same way. What does it advertise? It has gelato, light ice cream, sorbet, frozen yogurt, Italian ice, slushy, IcyCreami. I need to check the spelling because on the box it's spelt wrong. Frozen drinks, milkshake, lift and drop for storage, respin for mixing. You can spin the top, you can spin the whole thing, start, stop, and power. So It actually has a combination of functions from both of these two. This one you can spin the top half, you can spin the bottom half, you can spin the whole thing. This one you can spin the top half or you can spin the whole thing. So it's kind of a mix of these two, but with the same size container as this one. So I think really what we just need to do is make an ice cream and compare it. I won't compare it, well maybe I will. Let's just make all of them. I'm actually going to make this. I'm going to make a separate video for how to make this. And I'm just going to load it into the tubs and we'll compare it after. But we'll compare the texture rather than the taste because the information for this ice cream is going to be in next week's video. The texture of some of their ice cream looks shocking. Half of these are actually real. Mint chocolate, I mean, it looks like wax. Blueberry ice cream, salted caramel ice cream, 1 scoop of vanilla whey protein powder, 150 grams of natural yogurt, and 1 drop of salted caramel flavor. I'm not a bro. I've got enough here for all 3 of the spinning machines plus a traditional make. So let's load these up. So I've left a gap in the tops of these because the graham cracker is an add-in and it's going to go in during that spinny phase as an add-in. So leave space for things like that. So with all of that in, let's get the lids on, get all those in the freezer. Where's my silicone lid? I quite like that that goes on the underside of the blade. That's quite neat. Anyway, let's get that onto there. And get these chilled down in the freezer 24 hours. And for those people that are going to make this in a traditional machine, don't worry, I've got you covered. Okay, so next test, noise. Without anything in, let's run these on a respective cycle and see what the noise is. So, empty run tests, this runs on average 80 decibels with the occasional peak at 81 and drop to 79. The Ninja Creami Deluxe runs at 81 average with the occasional peak at 82, but it also dips down to 75 during the run process. The Ninja Creami Standard runs at 85 decibels, so it's quite a bit louder than the other two. But I did notice, and I'll try and put a screenshot on the overlay now, so you can see that the actual blade of this one, the IcyTreat, stops almost 3/4 of an inch, maybe even a little bit more, from the bottom of the container. Whereas the Ninja, both the Ninja machines, the blade goes almost right down to the bottom. You've got about, I'd say, 1/3 of an inch max at the bottom of these tubs. So you're going to have a larger amount of unprocessed ice cream at the bottom of this tub. So something else that really irritates me is super nice shiny machine. You know, it's really nice screen. As you can see, the reflection, it's just gloriously glossy. They put these bloody labels on that don't come off. Don't do that. Anyway, minor stuff. Now we're going to get our ice cream out, the key lime pie, next week's video. And we're going to run each ice cream in the respective machines and see what the noise rating is there. Because it will be much louder processing the ice cream, but how much louder? Let's see. And we're set, let's go. Standard Ninja Creami peaked at 88 decibels, but on average it ran at 85 as normal, with the occasional dip down to 84, 83 decibels. So it was louder during the spinning phase, which is expected. So let's get the new one up and running. It's definitely slower. My word, the texture is just totally different. This is... I gotta try this first. It's actually partially turned it to liquid. If you wanna just see, it's kind of... It's turned it to a liquid. It's incredibly smooth. Bloody hell, that ice cream's good. Incredibly smooth, but it's kind of turned it to liquid. So let's put that back in the freezer. Onto the Deluxe. So noise-wise, they're all much for muchness. This one did peak quite high, but the texture of the resulting ice creams, the Ninja Creami ones are much more what you'd want straight out of the machine. It's very much a normal ice cream texture. But as the IcyTreat's result was, don't need that on the screen. As the IcyTreat's result straight out of the machine was so liquid, we need to make this a fair game. So we're going to put all of these back in the freezer for a couple of hours so that this one hardens off enough to actually scoop some. So before I cut and come back, let's just talk about these machines a little bit more. They all do the same things. These two have slightly more features than the standard Ninja Creami. This one will store lower. It runs quiet, empty anyway. It runs louder when it's full. This one is the better overall machine. The noise ratio, the amount of ice cream that's processed in the containers. So it's a balance at the moment, but the biggest downside to this one I see so far is the resulting ice cream is just way too thin. The blade design is too aggressive and it spins too fast, and it creates an ice cream that is too warm, it's half melted, and it's too difficult to scoop into any kind of ball shape or scoop shape at all. Great though if you want to eat it straight from the container, but even then, you're making something akin to a milkshake rather than ice cream. So that's a big downside to this. Positives to this machine, it looks fantastic. You can't see the screen, and to be fair, until it's plugged in, there's nothing on it anyway. But it's beautiful gloss black top, silver aluminum effect, plastic, a thin aluminum surround down the bottom. They're all made of the same plastics. They are what they are. Is it a decent competitor? So far, it's okay, but I would definitely personally have a Ninja Creami over this one just for making ice cream. Now, obviously, if you're on this channel, it's because you want to know about ice cream. That's all I do. So when people compare these machines, make sure that they're looking at the result. That's what's important in any of these machines. The resulting ice cream needs to be the right texture. It needs to be the right temperature. And obviously this machine has heated it up too much and it started to melt it. Now, if you were, one little additional note is if you were to use this for a 0 sugar ice cream, then that result might be different because you kind of need it to be ultra processed and ultra spun, which is where these can struggle. But I just don't believe the motor is going to be strong enough. This really started to struggle at the bottom third of the container. You could hear the motor struggling. So whether it would cope with a 0 sugar ice cream with a huge Ninja Creami hump on the top, I seriously doubt it. I will do some tests going forward, but for now, let's put these machines away and we'll come back when this one's ice cream is ready to dish up. Whilst we wait for the ice cream to harden off, we're going to get our graham cracker crumb in there. So these have just been sat in the fridge. So all we're going to do now is just to chop them up into whatever size pieces you want. And we're going to stir them in gently. We're not going to add them in as an add-in in any of these machines because it would just decimate it, and we want large pieces in there. So yeah, the IcyTreat is so liquid. Super, I mean, you can see it kind of running. Too thin. Anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to take some of our nice chunks of graham cracker crust and put that in there. Do the same to all three. Make sure you try some. Delicious. That chew brought on by that little tiny bit of corn syrup and loads of butter. It's perfect. Here we have our Ninja Creami Deluxe, our Ninja Creami Standard, and our IcyTreat. You can see there's a distinct difference between the texture of the Ninja Creamis and the IcyTreat. Very, very soft, this one, very, very soft. So again, this video is about the machines, specifically the IcyTreat. If you wanna go into more detail into how to make this ice cream, this will come in next week's video. But for now, you can see the difference on camera just a second ago of the texture. The IcyTreat is melting super, super fast. It's been absolutely decimated by the blade. The blade is a good design to cut through ice cream, but it's spinning way too fast and it's dropping too slow. So the time, it's about 30 seconds slower than the Ninja Creamis. I'll put the times on the screen now for a standard up and down process, but it took considerably longer. And with that blade, it made this ice cream so soft, it was basically melting, turned it into a milkshake. But I imagine it's going to be really smooth. It's very, very smooth. Incredibly smooth ice cream. There's no two ways about it. That blade produces a much smoother ice cream than a Ninja Creami, but it needs to go back in the freezer. And it actually needs to go back in the freezer. I think I probably left it in there for an hour. It needs to go back in there for at least 3 or 4 hours to harden it back up. Onto the Ninja Creami Standard. Great. Texture's good. Consistency is much, much better. It actually holds a shape. The Ninja Creami Deluxe, it's going to be the same. It's the same blade design. So it's too soft. As a standard machine, so it's in line with the Ninja Creami Standard, it has more features. It is quieter than a standard Ninja Creami. The design, I think, is much better than a Ninja Creami. This is it here in its closed form for storing in your cupboards. So it's space saving. I love the touchscreen. It's really, really nice. Cons for the IcyTreat machine. The blade design is almost too efficient. It spins too fast and goes down too slow, which means that your ice cream result is way, way too soft. It produces too much heat in that process and makes your finished ice cream product look like it's sat out on the counter for about an hour. So it needs to go back into the freezer for at least another 2-3 hours. The blade stops too high. There's 3/4 of an inch left worth of unprocessed ice cream down at the bottom of the container. They could easily go down another 1/2 inch to give a better spin ratio to your ice cream product. The containers have handles on them. Not ideal for storage efficiency. You've got to find space for that handle in your freezer. It's not a problem for me because I have plenty of space in my freezer, but I know some people won't like that. I think it would take some getting used to, the whole removing of the blade and the lid as one, but I think once you get used to it, it's absolutely fine. I am going to try almost all the other functions of this machine to see how it pans out. And I'm going to try and figure out how to record the times and spin speeds, because it's a good machine. And I think companies like Ninja need some competition, and this might well be it. At the moment, I don't think it is, but I think it's close. So the Ninja Standard, it's the industry standard. People know what it is. They're always on sale. There are spare parts up the wazoo. You can buy replacement tubs, new tubs, lots of different spares. Downside to the Ninja Creami Standard is the build quality is crap. It breaks all the time for various reasons. And it is a throwaway technology, unfortunately. Ninja have created a machine that is designed to just be thrown away and replaced. So rather than actually repair it, they will throw it away and give you a new one. That is not very good. Not very good for repair industry, and not very efficient as far as manufacturing is concerned. The Ninja Creami Deluxe, it's got all the features that this one does, but it has a much bigger container. It's quieter. It can produce a better finish because it's a better consistency, and the blade goes all the way down to the bottom, give or take 1/4 inch at the bottom, same as the Ninja Creami Standard. So it's much more expensive than the others. So we have pros and cons for each. What's more important to you? If you just want to process ice cream, then I'd probably say your Ninja Creami Standard is probably the one to go for. If you have limited freezer space and you want a bigger batch, then go for the Ninja Creami Deluxe. This one, I need to try all the other functions before we start comparing on a one-to-one basis. But first review is the machine is really good. It is, it's compact, it's nice, it's quiet. I need to figure out what setting is right for getting the right consistency end result ice cream. At the moment, this is last. So I'm gonna keep using this. I'm gonna figure out which setting to use to get you the best result, but it's really nice to have a machine that is comparable to the Ninja Creami in some ways. Everyone needs competition in this day and age. So thanks very much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to see how this machine performs doing other tasks. And next week we're gonna talk about this key lime pie ice cream in detail because it is delicious. Anyway, thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next week.